Yes, hey, Noah Digital Community. We bring to you today a very special company operating in data science. I think we all heard a lot about big data. And I thought this is a story, this is a product the Noah community should know about. So I'm personally super excited to have Yuval here.
Hey, Marco. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here and really big thanks for having me. One of the things that was always in the base of the company is the realization that the tool that you use for classic retail, bricks and mortar, cannot really be applied to e-commerce and expect to get good results. E-commerce is behaving very differently than classic retail. And as such, you need to build specific tools to deal with analyzing the world of e-commerce. And this is exactly what we did at the company. And with that goal, we started the company focusing on turning the e-commerce space into a market you can truly understand on a holistic level, but also per retailer, per categories, per brands, trying to find a good source for understanding what's selling, what's trending, what is the actual GMV, what is the actual revenue of the latest Apple AirPods being sold, and so on and so forth.
And you will talk a little bit how you got into this position, but the core of your business is to provide GMV data on SKU level, measured by brand, by retailer, and by category. And you build your own taxonomy because, as far as I understand, it's not just one platform of e-commerce, but it's like all the big platforms of e-commerce. Give us a little background on Market Beyond. How old is the company? How long you are an entrepreneur? Is this your first startup?
My personal background, I started my career almost 20 years ago as a software engineer. Just like many of the entrepreneurs in Israel, many of us grow from engineering. I worked in several startups, several big organizations, always selling to the top Fortune 500 brands of the world, either in one category or another. Interesting to say that as of day one, I've always been in the business of dealing with big data, of taking big data and turning it into insights and business, and making sense out of very disorganized world, whether it was in the telecommunication industry and then shifting into e-commerce. It was always about understanding what's selling, what's trending, how people interact with products online.
You went from like a reseller or data consulting business to putting your money behind a product idea. And in this case, it was GMV for e-commerce. This is like a ballsy move, right? So when did you start collect your own data from the large e-commerce sites?
We started the company focusing on what you touched a little before, and this is the concept of product matching, classification, and categorization, right? And the notion behind that is that we wanted to look at the entire world of e-commerce as a unified market, meaning that we take products coming from different brands, different retailers. We know how to map these products into our own Market Beyond taxonomy tree, which then allows you to look at everything as a single taxonomy, right? Everything maps into the same categories, so you can really slice and dice the information very easily once you do that. Since the beginning of 2012, we figured out that we need to start becoming independent when it comes to data collection. Today, we know how to collect and analyze only publicly available data coming from search engines, retail sites, and other types of sources. And using this data, we've built a set of machine learning and AI modules that allows us to take this very, very raw, complex, and hybrid data. So you get today a very good picture of what just happened tomorrow. You don't need to wait to the next quarter or next month in order to figure out what's happening in the market. And in e-commerce, it's crucial because e-commerce is very, very dynamic. If you react next month, it's way too late.
As far as I know, there's no one who does what you do at the moment, right?
Yeah, there are a few specific unique elements that makes Market Beyond special. I'd say the first one is definitely the product matching, our ability to figure out the two products are in fact the same product, and therefore bring in the whole approach of unified market that I described before. This is one. The second is the ability to understand what's selling at the online in accuracy levels that reach over 96% accuracy, and not only in Amazon. There are competing solutions out there that know how to do a good job at understanding what's selling at Amazon. We think that Amazon alone is not enough, and we also see that as demand coming from the market and our customers.
How precise is your data? I mean, at the end, it's estimates, right? Have you done like tests with your large clients on like how accurately you can predict daily GMV of SKUs on e-commerce?
Working with the largest retailers and brands in the world, a few names I can mention would be Facebook Marketplace, Best Buy, eBay, Procter & Gamble, other names that you can also find in our website. One of the things that they demand is accuracy, right? And they do a very thorough job in analyzing the data and making sure that it is indeed accurate.
I think what you do and also what Jumpshot has done with or without the knowledge of people, you make the internet more efficient, right? And we have like this very interesting Amazon time coming where you have smart people bringing inventory to a gigantic platform and get immediately scale. And I think this industry needs tools.
Let's touch 2 points here, which I think are both very interesting. The first one is Amazon and how they're positioned versus the market, and then how does this translate into our go-to-market, right? And the type of customers we sell to. We realize that we can take these capabilities and make them accessible for pretty much everyone, right? Starting from getting to mid-market and also being applicable to even smaller sellers on Amazon. It's a self-service dashboard. You get a username and password. We define with you what categories and competitors you want to target and look into, and then the platform generates the data for you. It also supports the ability to export everything into files that you can process yourself in your own BI systems and so on and so forth. We also still have the ability to define customized reports, which can answer other questions that might not be available through the platform. But the platform keeps growing and adding more and more capabilities on pretty much a weekly basis.
Is it possible for your data to get integrated in dashboards of other SaaS companies?
Absolutely, yes. And this is exactly how some of our customers use us. They get batches of data and they integrate it into their own BI systems. Some use Tableau, some use homegrown systems. It really depends. The data is very flexible, so we can extract it and formalize it in any way that is easy to consume.
Okay, so how are you going to deliver the data to like smaller merchants, which are not like enterprise sales, more like a direct to the internet, like a pipe drive distribution strategy? Is that how we have to think about it, or how are you planning to build a big customer base?
Okay, so when it comes to self sign-on, if you're already part of the geographies and categories we have packaged solutions for, you can simply get a username and password and start using the system. There is no onboarding process or anything of that source. We also are able to onboard completely new categories within a very short time if you're coming from that world.
So it's mostly pricing data, then it's market share data, it's rising products, rising brands, rising retailers, it's inventory management.
Yeah, it's also things like identifying new products that are being brought into the market, a new type or new competitor. And we have seen it in so many different cases where a merchant would figure out that they know their main competitors. In many cases they would, right? But maybe number 6 and number 7 are off their charts and they're starting to grow. They might take only 5% of the market, but you see them growing. In many cases, they're coming from China. And these things really change the market. And you don't want to spot them once they start having 20-30% of the market. You want to spot them as they emerge. So this would be another example of a use case. Of course, everything that has to do with understanding when the competition or you is going out of stock. Out of stock means, you know, that you're leaving money on the table. So planning the assortment correctly is really vital in managing a good e-commerce business, and also getting notification about these things in real time. So this is another part of what we're delivering to the market. Also, everything that has to do with discoverability of products, with the search terms that lead people to buy products. So it's a complete digital shelf solution that enables you complete management of your categories within the main retailers that you're selling through, that consists of the main market of that product. Because again, focusing on Amazon is not enough.
It's interesting, huh? It's really AI for making your e-commerce business more efficient. And then do you think there is already a great deal of people integrating it into their systems, or is that a little bit early stage?
Well, one of the channels that we see is very important for growth is by starting to work with strategic partners that have some of those assets, whether they have the ecosystem of brands and sellers, whether they have data coming from other locations. By connecting the dots coming from different data sources, you can really get to 1 + 1 = 3. And this is great. You probably cannot do it solely based on one source of data, right? It's really about taking everything and consolidating into one aggregated source of data. And this is also something that we are working on, and it's coming hopefully within the next few months, of taking the data that we have and additional strategic partners and turning it into a much more elevated e-commerce suite of e-commerce solutions for brands, manufacturers, and sellers.
Amazing, great entrepreneurship. Solving gigantic problems. You're a change maker for us and help the Amazon merchants to survive on and in between the big platforms. Thank you so much. Shalom.
Thank you, Marco. Really a pleasure talking, and thanks for having us. And yeah, we're looking for a very, very successful 2021.